go. Awesome. We are live now. Welcome to another episode of Node.js ComCom. Thank you for tuning in. So our agenda meeting issue is issue number 501 in Node.js ComCom. In the chat there again. And let's kick it off with initiative updates. Starting from the top, going down. Looks like Ben is not on the call. I believe we're still just waiting for execution on the I10N node package for publishing was the latest that I understood. If you're interested in distribution of I10N content, definitely go engage with the node.js/I10N team. They're working on getting it into a consumable format for the website and for others. Do we have a mentorship update? Do not see Dan or Ahmed on the call. We'll reach out individually. Skip over that for now. How about Node.js collection update? Either Tierney or Rachel or Walid, I suppose.
I don't have any specific update. Walid or Rachel?
So no specific update. I did have a chance to catch up on the replay of the meeting last week, and I'm really just wanting to know if folks are good with the new guidelines, just so that we can start doing a push to collect some content. Our pipeline is very light, and so it would be good to just continue, to keep doing what we've been doing and just gather content. And I don't know if that's on the agenda further down, but I know that it was discussed last week as far as sort of next steps would be just to kind of get those review guidelines and submission guidelines updated and pushed out so that we can just start collecting more content.
Yeah, in that vein, I believe I pinged the ticket. I didn't think it warranted further discussion around it because it's sort of just we got to do the work and get the docs in. But I pinged the issue in the repo for kind of documenting new Node.js collection process and submission process. And either Walid or Rachel, if you want to take that on too, either if we can just get that PR'd into the repo, we can close that issue and maybe have a social media blast just kind of promoting the like, hey, if you have an article, please feel free to submit it again.
When did you ping me? I'm sorry.
A couple of minutes ago.
Was it recent? Oh, okay. Okay. I was like, no, don't tell me I missed it. Awesome.
No, that was right before the meeting.
Okay, perfect.
Awesome. And Tracy, I think you just offered to give an update on mentorship.
Yeah, let me go ahead and do that. So the last mentorship meeting, we just went through the pairing of the different mentors, mentees. So the mentors got back to us with their selection of mentees. We paired them up. And now we're going to be reaching out to the mentors and mentees to just, sort of do final selections. We are always still looking for more like Node mentors. So if you are contributing to Node and want to be a mentor, we really, really, really would love more mentors because we're right now limited by the number of mentors available. And it's around 10 right now. So we're currently notifying the mentees of the selection or non-selection. And if you have any questions, you can just comment on the GitHub repo and we're happy to assist. Or, if you need to directly reach out, you can reach out to anybody individually, but you can also just email me, ladylead@node.js if you like as well. ladylead@nodejs.org.
Awesome. Thank you, Tracy.
You're welcome.
For an outreach update, I guess I'll give that update. We've had a little bit of trouble meeting recently, so I'd love to reevaluate meeting time and re-ping people for attendance, but we're still chugging along with trying to up-level and document all the meetup activity going on with Node across the community and find ways to help push traffic in that direction. So
and we are also kind of moving towards creating a community page. And we were in the last meeting we actually discussed that we should actually start hosting one on node.js.dev as a starter. Anything would be better than what we have right now. So,
I believe it's non-existent. That's the current status of community page on the website. So
yeah, so starting from anywhere would just work, and we are happy to. Adam, you also told me about Amal, who might be actually joining us in the next meeting or so. So
awesome.
That is an interesting update as well.
Yeah, psyched to hopefully have that extra engagement. And because we're pivoting to kind of a more, especially next meeting, I want to extend an invite to everybody on this call who might care about what goes on a node.js.dev community page. Like we're gonna keep discussing that in that organization or in that meeting and in that repo. So come join.
Awesome.
Yeah. And user feedback, Dan Shaw's not on the call, but as per last time, user feedback initiative is kind of going through a passing of or changing of the guard here. So Dan's looking for other people to take up the mantle and or find ways for the responsibilities of the team to get subsumed by other groups. So keep your eyes peeled for updates there. I believe was the last update we got from that. Somebody else have an update from latest? Yeah, go for it, Dawson.
I was just going to add a couple things. I also know that there's interest in surveys from, I think, 2 different groups, like the diagnostics group definitely has started to put together some questions. And it's not coming to me off the top of my head, but there's at least one other group. So I think there's definitely still interest in the survey side of things, and we'll see some more activity on that side soon.
Yeah, and Michael, I'll add, feel free to loop me in on the survey side of things. I also plan to move forward on the promises survey that's been lingering for about a year now. But as promises work has been progressing, I want to take a second look at it and make sure we have topical, current kind of questions for that. But in general, I'd be happy to help facilitate on survey work.
I think I'd at CC.
Oh, okay. I'll have to look into that.
So maybe if you can go take a look, because I'm pretty sure, like I said, hey, let's go open an issue. And so if you can go take a look, that's probably the next step.
Okay, great.
Because we did put together a concrete set of questions. Now really we want to get some feedback. Last time we even got some feedback from the foundation. They had a data analyst who could look at them and give us some hey, tweak it like this or that kind of advice.
Okay, yeah, let's there's an issue template in the user feedback group that has a little bit of information to fill out and just sort of some expectations. So we can look at that and maybe collectively see if there are questions or more information we should have in that issue template as we start to kind of dog food that that process.
Yeah, and I guess and just to add to what Adam was saying, I personally feel this is a really important initiative that we need to keep going. Would be great if we could find a few more people to get involved to help move it forward, but otherwise we'll figure out how things move forward. But it's a good time to get involved, and if you have some cycles to help sort of coordinate and move things forward, it's a great time to get involved.
Yeah, and
something that.
Sorry, go for it, Joe.
Go ahead, Adam. No, you go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to call out for the public chat here. One of the issues on the agenda today, just as an attention caller, is adding documentation around dropping the requirement that a champion of initiative be a regular CompCom member. So you can get heavily involved and you can help drive, or you can probably help drive this starting shortly. Even if you're not a sitting elected member of this group that's sitting here right now. So please open call if you're looking to get engaged. If you're ready.
Yeah, and I think I'll add that's always the case. Like you might tag a ComCom member just to be the supporter, but they don't have to be the leader of these initiatives. So.
100%.
Before we move off the subject of surveys, I want to add that the releases working group is also looking to add some questions to a survey.
That was the other one I was thinking of. Thanks.
Oh, right on. I believe the survey they were thinking about was the official survey that goes out from the foundation. But once they make contact and once it's being discussed, they might be willing to put it back. But
yeah, the discussion in the meeting, like my feedback was like we could probably get a question or two into the main survey, but we're not necessarily going to get as much as they would want. So my takeaway is it's likely the thing that makes sense, at least in my opinion, is added to the main one plus another survey on its own.
Yeah, and we can look at ways to really boost getting the word out on surveys, maybe different mailing lists and weekly lists and things like that.
Considered, we're off on a tangent right now. I kind of like this idea. Have we considered adding a question to the official Node survey that goes out saying, yes, put me on a list to be contacted again about Node surveys? So we have like a regular mailing list of folks that are interested in responding.
I believe that went out last year, though I could be wrong.
Yeah.
I believe that was the case last year.
That would be an amazing resource for user feedback.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yep. But even like Node Weekly and things like that, we should be taking advantage of those things. The other thing I was going to say too is we should, and I'll be brief. Anyone who is on this call and also attends the CPC calls, we should maybe talk about that at an upcoming meeting as well. Maybe I'll make an issue that maybe folks up in the CPC might be interested in helping with user feedback like surveys.
Yeah, actually, that's a great idea. Yeah.
I also on that. I think that might actually be something we should start having reporting on in the beginning of the session, specifically from Joe, since Joe is the representative to CPC for ComCom. Having a report on that would be awesome.
I was going to start that today. So good segue, Joe. You want to give an update?
Awesome.
Yeah, and I posted that in the chat a while ago too. I actually wanted to do it last week, but I was having internet trouble, so I was kind of quiet last week. But yes, so CPC announcement stuff. There's been a lot going on. Obviously, I've never really given one of these, so there's been a lot going on overall. But recent work that we've been looking at is like member status in the cross-project council. There are voting members, regular members, and observers, and just kind of clarifying the difference there. And really, the only difference is that when something really needs to be voted on, voting members are there, and like project progression, a couple like edge cases that we're elected for. And then observers are encouraged to be involved, but discouraged from blocking. Happy to raise issues and be involved in the process, but be non-blockers. Working through process things like how to update governance and charter and things like that, but also managing charters of other organizations, as the CPC is responsible for that. I'm sorry, when I say organizations, I mean projects that are part of the OpenJS Foundation. I'm trying to look at my notes here. What else? Some work happening on new project progression. We have some projects that are interested in joining the foundation. We have a couple of projects that are already interested, that are already in the foundation, that are going to help us dog food our new project progression process. We've started accepting regular members, and of course, if you want to come in as an observer, you're encouraged to. What else do I have here? I think that's kind of it. Let's see. Yeah, let me know if I'm forgetting anything big. Oh, the other thing that we've been talking about too is travel fund managed at the CPC level. So that's something we're starting to work through what that would look like. So please reach out to me if you have specific thoughts about that, or join the meeting. Is another good option. And then the other thing that I wanted to share is that Node.js has a rep on the director seats on the board of directors for the OpenJS Foundation. We had our election that lasted 2 weeks. There were both ComCom and the TSC could vote. There were 30 potential voters. I can't remember the exact number, but I think it was like 20 or 21 people voted. The candidates were James Snell and Michael Dawson, and when all was said and done, Michael Dawson had the most votes, so Michael Dawson is our new Node.js representative on the OpenJS Foundation Board of Directors. Yay!
Yay!
Thanks everybody, and I guess if you have anything that needs to be taken to the board or have any concerns you want discussed at that level, just let me know. I'm starting to get ramped up. Next meeting is July 26th. So, you can either reach out to me directly. I've opened an issue to move the project board that we had in the TSC repo to the admin repo, as that's what Miles had previously been using to manage those. And I figure it's a good way to do that, but it makes sense more in the admin repo now that we're representing both. And it probably makes sense, Adam, if we add into the agenda like a director or a board update standing issue, just like the CPC update.
Sounds good. I'll find a place to slot that into the README. I basically go off of that list for updates, but it doesn't belong under initiatives really. So we'll find a place to represent that.
What we've done on the TSC side that is easy is just create an issue, tag it to the agenda, and then it shows up in the agenda every time.
Okay.
Basically takes no work, and like the template isn't super flexible in terms of how you can add things to it. So that's just an easy way where the downside is one issue that's open forever in your repo, but for me, that seems like a reasonable trade-off.
We've also had many issues that have been open basically since the beginning of HyperConf that I've been trying to close. So
we just have like a strategic tracking issue and a board update tracking issue, and that way they're just there.
So, go ahead. I was just, I wanted to bring something up, and I don't think this should change the state of anything right now. We've done elections and stuff. In both the TSC and ComCom, we have rules around like representation and percentages of representation. I think it might be a good idea to, moving forward, bring up some kind of discussion in the admin repo about now that we're kind of a member of a larger foundation rather than the foundation being ours, having some limitation to the percentages of representation upward and at the project leadership level. Just because I think right now 60% of project leadership is from a single company. So that's just something that I wanted to raise. And it's something I'll raise and I'll bring up in the admin. I'm currently out of office this week, so I'm not gonna do it this week, but it's something I wanted to bring up just because I think it's something that the project has shown it values, and it's a discussion that I don't think we've thought to consider since the kind of merger, and we've been shuffling around roles and things like that. So I just wanted to bring that up.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up, Tierney. I'd also add too that I think that it's been discussed in a variety of venues that we should also be just trying to figure out how to improve diversity overall within representation of Node and within, CPC and OpenJS and stuff.
Yep.
Awesome. Tierney, where can we find more on that discussion if we're interested in engaging?
I will be creating. I will be creating an issue in admin. It will not be this week because I'm out of office.
Okay, awesome. Keep your eyes peeled on admin. Cool. Last initiative update: website redesign. As of about 20 minutes ago, we are officially moved out of the node.js/website redesign repo and fully migrated to node.js.dev. So that is the new home for all things website redesign instead of being split between two repos, which we got some feedback was confusing for people jumping in for the first time. What repo do they open issues in? Where do they contribute code? Where do they contribute docs? So we are consolidated and streamlined and lean and ready to fight. Here we go. And still chugging away on building out the technical side of things. So just trucking along right now. Manila, anything I missed from the update? Muted if you're trying to talk.
I think that was a good summary. Thank you, Adam.
Awesome. Any other updates from across all things ComCom? Take that as a no. Let's dive into the proper agenda. We have a really good little.
Sorry, Adam.
Oh,
sorry, I was like scrambling to unmute. One quick question I have. Should we update the README since there is no more committee director role nor individual membership director role? Should we be removing those from the committee members as titles effectively?
Likely, I will do that.
I think that needs to go along with the governance update because that
that's a wonderful segue. For the first
cool.
So The first two issues in the agenda are largely slaps on my wrist to update our governance documentation, or at least put out a PR with update proposals. This is issue number 499 and 489. 489 is technically independent of 499, but it would be nice to possibly land together because they're all going to be, codependent on each other. And that will Tierney likely include updating, or will include updating the README to reflect new role names and remove roles that no longer exist. So unless people have ideas or feedback or stuff they want to talk about updating the charter and the main README and some guidance around membership and what privileges are given to regular members versus not regular members. This is just a to-do on my long laundry list of things still. Anybody have thoughts or feedback about the direction it should head?
Are we planning to do just the limited scope of changing to the foundation, and then we can do additional changes after that?
The way I'm gonna split it up is I'm gonna minimize the total changes, or keep minimal of the changes to the charter proper as much as possible. There's prior art from the TSC side for the changes that are needed, I believe. And then as a subsequent PR, update the governance documents. So there's a nice clean PR for CPC to approve, and then the stuff that we have authority to change on our own will be independent.
I can volunteer to help with that. I have a lot more time now to do Node.js and ComCom related things. So yes, if you'd like help with that, I'd be more than happy to take that on next week.
Yeah, I would love to tag team that, and hell, even if we could literally tag team it, like let's just get an hour on the calendar to co-draft a bunch of stuff. That'd be awesome.
The other part of that question I thought was, like, will there be a PR that just does the minimal updates to bring us in line with the OpenJS Foundation, then a second one that talks about the regular members? Or were you thinking of doing those together?
That was definitely the assertion, although it wasn't necessarily regular membership. But yes, that was also my question.
Yeah, it's I need to figure out where that language lives. Like I need to just go refresh myself on where all this language lives in the documentation. If there's language prohibiting leadership from non-regular members in the charter, we're going to have to address that in this change probably, because we probably just want one clean PR for CPC to review. But if that language isn't anywhere in there, we can keep it entirely separate from charter changes to bring us in line with OpenJS. So
yeah, I think if you add in new membership classes, it may affect the governance. I don't think
it's a new membership class. I think it's just what different membership classes are allowed to kind of have purview over. Basically, if there's any language in the charter prohibiting non-regular members from leading initiatives, whatever that means, then that will have to be removed in order to open it up to let our governance determine what they're able to have.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
That's all. Yeah. I don't know if that language is there or not.
Yeah. And for what it's worth, initiative was not something that there is reference to initiatives, but that is otherwise is not included in definition in terms of membership, as far as I can tell. So
yeah, so it's very likely it won't require charter changes to allow us to make those governance changes, but I'd like to, just for the sake of cleanliness, I'd like to have the charter change land first and then the governance changes land after, so we don't get weird references between the two. So, but both PRs will be up at the same time. It's kind of a 1-2 punch. Cool. Yeah, so Tierney, let's you and I get an hour sometime in the next week to just hack through that. I'd appreciate the kick in the butt to get moving on it, and would love all the context you have stored in your brain too as we make the changes. Awesome. On to issue 444. This is Node.js social media community collaboration. Rachel, we missed you very much at the last meeting. Just hoping for an update on this initiative and see where we're at, see what next steps are. And ask from everybody else if we have all had a chance to provide feedback to that blog that you posted a while back, and see what's next.
Sure. So I had a chance to, like I said, I had a chance to take a look at the replay, and it sounded like, hello?
I'm very sorry. I just noticed in the chat, Tracy has to leave in about 10 minutes. I know she had an announcement and a topic she wanted to bring up. So let's table this for the end and let Tracy,
sure.
while she's still here.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay. No worries. Totally understand.
So one thing I wanted to say is that I believe this was already brought up by Rachel in the past, but the foundation wants to start doing node AMAs, or probably for the greater OpenJS Foundation as well. But generally speaking, we are going to start the node AMAs, and I would love to know if anybody would want to be involved. Already kind of ran this through Manil. He kind of like looked at the agenda, but we were thinking about just doing it, so some cadence of like, first Tuesday of every month, and maybe having topics around, okay, AMA for the modules team, or AMA for TSC, or AMA for, one or two things. And then the way we would promote is really start using like Twitter and the newsletter and different things like that as a way to kind of bring the community a little bit closer together. I think these initiatives will also be really good for certain things like the user feedback. It'd be good to have like a little AMA for that too. But were there any thoughts around it, or any people that want to raise their hand right now that I can reach out to individually to get you guys involved in those conversations?
I would love to do that. Additionally, I think it would be really interesting if we could use something like Restream, which is a tool that allows you to kind of put content out to multiple platforms. So we could, in addition to streaming it to like something like if it's live, like if it's video, I don't know if it's text or video, but if it is video, you can.
It'll be video.
Okay, cool. So yeah, then you can output to YouTube, to Periscope, which is Twitter's embedded streaming service, to Facebook, if that's a thing that we want to do with the Node.js Facebook.
Yeah, that's great.
And so the one caveat there is it makes it centralizes all the chat, but someone will need to actually have a streaming setup to be able to kind of organize that, so it wouldn't be able to be done through Zoom, which is the caveat there. So I'd be happy to work with someone to figure that out, but that is an extra step that is beyond what we normally do.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, definitely check that out. Anybody else interested in me pinging them after this?
Feel free to ping me. I'm pretty at capacity right now, but in the next month or two, I might start getting far more cycles. So yeah, keep me in the loop.
Okay. So next steps are
you
sorry,
looking
go ahead.
for people to help organize and get the mechanics going, or to participate?
I think just like participating in the conversation. I mean, this week we're going to focus on getting all the mechanics down and everything like that. But then like reviewing, hey, should we do this? What do you guys think about, these types of groups? Michael, you always have good ideas about which different working groups, maybe kind of, could use this, right? So kind of things like that. And we'll be sharing, the marketing plan and everything like that. So I'll just keep you in the loop regardless.
Okay.
And then
sounds
again,
good. I was just definitely happy to participate in them themselves too. So.
Is this going to have any relationship with the? I know there was a Medium article series on different working groups. Will they be connected at all, or independent?
The AMA is not directly connected to that. It was just that we wanted to make sure that we're promoting the working groups in general because of all the amazing work that they're doing.
But they absolutely can be. I mean, I think that Ms. Rachel, just to kind of echo that, I think if there's a working group that wants to do an AMA, we could certainly pull a blog together based on the content that we gather from the AMA. So it sort of optimizes folks' time. So that's certainly the idea there.
Yeah, I love that too.
Yeah, and they don't necessarily have to be related or tied at the hip. I just wonder if there's any connection we can make to help them work better together too.
For sure.
So last two things are community corner for Node+JS Interactive. You know, the typical Collab Summit planning folks, we have a meeting scheduled for this Friday to kind of talk through those things. We will start planning the community corner then. So if you do want input or anything like that, maybe I'll create an issue in like, I don't know, admin or ComCom. I don't remember where I usually create them, to kind of see if anybody wants to be added. But again, you can just ping me ladylead@nodejs.org if you like. So that's happening. And I think last time we did kind of a reconciliation of travel fund, which Joe just recently mentioned. But, you know, as we kind of put like a structure in place so that now the travel fund should actually be updated with the total amount, right? So I don't think we need to do much kind of reconciling as we did last year. But does anybody have any, I guess if anybody wants to participate in these conversations related to Community Corner and Next Collab Summit, and we will also be discussing potentially also throwing in the code and learn at that time, just drop me a line.
I think opening up an issue in admin is probably the best way for you to collect people. Just like it'll be a persisting list of folks who have self-selected. So, and that's probably the best way to reach the widest audience. So if you opening that up in admin is probably your best bet.
Okay, I'll do that. Do you want me to open up an issue for the AMA stuff, or you want me just?
Yeah, it would be awesome to have a place to track that in GitHub, especially if we're gonna have more community engagement around it. So yeah, you feel free to open up an issue for that in ComCom, just kind of announcing what it is, where the discussion's happening, what you're thinking for it, and how people can get involved.
Okay, great. Awesome. Thank you so much for letting me update real quick.
Yeah, of course. Sorry for almost missing you.
No worries.
Cool. If there's no more to add other than keep an eye out for those tickets. Rachel, let's pivot back to the social media community collaboration issue here and get an update there.
Great. So it sounds like there's a bunch of recent comments in the blog. I think that's really just what we need to do, is just get the blog in a good place. I did have a chance to go through just before the call and address some of the comments. And it looks like there are some more. So I'm happy to go through and, you know, address those things as well. And honestly, it's just about kicking it off. And it's really just about what this group is, right? So, I mean, we can really make this program whatever makes the most sense for the community. So I don't have much of an update aside from, you know, if you haven't had a chance to review that blog, please do. Feel free to comment away. This is definitely the place to put the feedback in, so that this is really something that we can all get behind and something that we can all, you know, check in. And you know, my next steps will really just be looking at the comments on here and, you know, answering anything that I can. But also, you know, if it makes sense for us to just connect one-on-one and just kind of go through this stuff, you know, I'm open to that too. So really it's just about getting this blog in a good place so that we can publish, so that we can just get some social support in place, you know, just to get more folks involved and to get, you know, good content out there over social media. I don't know if there's any, any discussion that folks want to have around this, but that's kind of where I'm at on sort of getting this thing kicked off.
I think I'm, at least personally, just excited to see it rolled out. So once the feedback in the doc is all has been resolved or addressed or discussed, and feel free to have the discussions in the Google Doc, I suppose. Then we'll do one more blast for like, do we have consensus around, you know, ComCom approval of the doc? And then clear it for launch.
Okay, that sounds good to me.
Awesome. Last call for anything more to add on social social shares? Nope. Cool. Well, that is our last agenda item for today. Unless anybody else has an ad hoc issue they'd like to bring up, feel free to speak up. Otherwise, we'll enjoy our 15 minutes back.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about, I missed the last ComCom meeting. Rachel, did we have any update about using some tool for the Node.js collection submissions?
So I've used Trello, and that was my suggestion. But I know that we want to use something that's going to work for the folks that are doing the reviewing. So that would be, that's basically what I was thinking. I know that I think in one of the issues, in one of the comments, I'm not sure if you were going to go and do some research on that as well. I don't know, but essentially that's kind of where I was. I'm willing to do what works for this group. I used Trello in the past,
So okay, yeah, then Trello is fine. I'll add this to the procedure you added as a comment on the issue.
Okay.
And Adam, I'll add this documentation to the Node.js collection report. Do you think it should be in the ComCom, the process for the submission?
Oh, I'm sorry. Was that directed to me?
Yeah. So we have this post in a comment with the process of the submission for the Node.js collection. Do you think it should be in the Node.js collection report or in the ComCom? I think in the collection.
That's a very good question. Do we have there's a repo for that. Cool. It should probably live in the Node.js collection repo if there's any updates that need to be there. And once that's PR'd in, feel free to close that issue in ComCom.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll PR it in, and then we can review it on the PR if there are any changes. Okay. Yeah.
Awesome.
I'd like to bring something else up. So I was at the most recent Code and Learn in Colombia at NodeConf Colombia, and as a part of that, we kind of realized that we were hitting the limit of how many tests needed fixing or needed adding. Most of the tests that still exist that are not, like most of the code coverage that is not, most of the lines that are not covered is either not coverable or way too complex for a first commit in Node. We're incredibly high at test coverage, which is great. It's a great benefit of the Code Learn that we've gotten. But we're also at relatively low ability to continue doing test or Code Learns in the way that we have been. And with that, in ComCom, we have an issue open from 2017 from Tracy addressing Tracy Hines addressing making ComCom repos Code Learn friendly. I'd like to suggest that we maybe revive this or start discussing this a bit again, just because it's something that seems like it might be needed and helpful for Code and Learn and continuing to get that while also benefiting the project in some way. And I think there's docs changes. Basically, one of the things we identified there was the need for more code examples in docs. That I've been told some people didn't want that. Some core collaborators weren't super interested in that just because of the amount of work it takes to kind of address. But if there's something that we can do in ComCom that would be helpful for this, I think it would be good to see if we can figure out how to make that happen. So whether that's website, whether that's some other tool that we want to create for ComCom, figuring something out would be awesome, just as a way to get more people involved. So just wanted to bring that up. I will post that issue. If others want to discuss it now, cool. But yeah, if this is something we'd like to do, I'd love to get it on the agenda to kind of discuss more fully and kind of flesh out ideas around how we could do that, we can also do that in the issue.
Can you also cross-post in website redesign, or sorry, node.js.dev? I think that repo has a lot of opportunity for first-time contributors. And right now, it's still very much in like the infrastructure itself is still being laid. But once we get the initial like building blocks put down, there will be a lot for new contributors to come in and dig their teeth into. Yeah, we should certainly have a backlog of issues lined up that'll be easier for first-time contributors.
Cool.
But yeah, make the issue. Let's at least bump the issue and make sure we don't drop that. That's going to be, if we are hitting the upper limit of what's accessible for code and learn, we're gonna need to address that sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like our C++ coverage could use a bit of help, but that's much harder to do in the code.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
And additionally, there's some ideas around this, and I don't think Code and Learn is actually an official or Node.js project. Am I right in that, Michael? I don't think it is. Like it's not a working group or initiative.
Yeah, it's not a chartered working group, and I'm not even sure we have a team called that.
Nope. I don't think we do. I think it's just a few people who do it.
Yeah.
But one of the things.
Volunteering to.
Well, I mean, I'd be willing to, but it's also totally not mine. I don't want to take that over from the people who have done the tremendous amount of work that have gotten to where it is today. But there is a code element that's needed for it. Every time we have a Code and Learn, we hit a threshold of network saturation. Because 50 to 300 people trying to pull Node.js/Node saturates the network, and then also getting people to build Node for the first time and making sure they have either the Xcode command line tools or Visual Studio, whatever you need for that, or I guess you can probably just do it on Linux. But yeah, like getting the tools is incredibly hard. And so one of the things that has kind of been identified as a local server that we can bring on something like a Raspberry Pi. Specifically, the new Raspberry Pi 4 actually seems to have perfect specs for this. So it's something I'd be interested in doing. And if others would be interested in having it as a ComCom technical project, I think that would be an awesome way for us to kind of build something for the community to be an enabler of Code and Learn in that way and lower the barrier to actual entry to literally even start, because that ends up being an hour of 2 or 3 hours is downloading and installing.
Code and Learn in a box. I have actually, you don't even need a dedicated piece of hardware for that. I spent the last month of my life working on making sure that computers on the same local network can talk to each other, and setting up a server just for local hosts to announce, hey, I'm here, and for people on the same Wi-Fi to be redirected directly to that person's laptop on the local network. So one person can host all the assets on their laptop who's running Code and Learn, and everybody else can hit them up for whatever they need to get started.
Perfect. And we could probably do that as a Git clone where it has all the all the binaries and stuff.
Yep, and just yarn start or npm start on your local machine, and all of a sudden anybody on the same Wi-Fi can go and get everything they need for a functional, bootstrap their node setup.
That'd be awesome. I'd love to work with you a bit on that and make that a ComCom technical project if we'd be interested.
Cool. I already have all the server code written for it and the client code written for that type of connection. So
cool.
Yeah,
cool. I will create an issue for that.
Cool.
One minor thing about Raspberry Pi 4, it's a bit flaky on technical side. I don't know. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And a lot of, changes on ports as well, like having to have a mini HDMI port and whatnot. So kind of something to note.
Yeah, for sure. I think what Adam was saying is the tool he's built allows you to not even need a dedicated piece of hardware like Raspberry Pi. So that's even more perfect.
On your laptop, yeah.
I know it's quite opinionated, but if we can go to VS Code for that, we can easily set up an online Docker and use WSL or something like the remote debugging tools they have. is
Yeah.
amazing for doing code labs like that.
Yeah, and that's something else is I myself, I assume Miles and I assume the IBM folks could all probably spin up a bunch of VMs for this, or at least if we do some work with our companies, I'm sure we could spin up VMs in the cloud and allow that kind of thing. So yeah, that's another thing to consider as well. Cool. Sorry, I derailed a bit.
That's okay. No, it's cool stuff. That would be an awesome new project. I think a place where ComCom is perfectly positioned to help out and kind of push Code and Learn to its next phase. Cool. Well, if there are no other topics, Michael, I think I saw your hand.
Oh no,
go.
sorry, I'm stretching.
Okay. Well then, if that's all for today, we are, despite the light schedule, we still somehow found more than enough to talk about. It's like there's always enough to do, and we like working together. It's crazy. Who knew?
Right.
But with that, I will cut the YouTube stream and thank you all for joining online. And we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Talk to you later. Bye.
Thanks all. Cheers.